There is a spiritual secret that most Christians never discover. A secret so counterintuitive, so opposed to everything we have been taught, that even when they hear about it, they cannot accept it. Here it is. The more you fight, the less God acts. The more you strive, the less He reveals Himself. The more you try to control, the less you experience the supernatural. I know this goes against everything you've ever heard. Preachers say, fight the good fight of faith. Songs talk about spiritual warfare. Books teach strategies for conquest. But here's the truth that will blow your mind in the next 10 minutes. God's greatest revelation happens the exact moment you let go of everything and stop fighting. And if you stay until the end, I'll show you the precise moment, the exact second, when you need to stop so that God can begin. Miss this, and you'll continue struggling alone for the rest of your life. Part 1. The paradox of the struggle. What happened to Jacob? Let me take you to one of the strangest stories in the Bible, Genesis 32. Jacob was in utter panic. His brother Esau was coming to meet him with 400 armed men. Jacob had deceived Esau years before, stolen his blessing, and fled like a coward. And now the day of reckoning had arrived. Jacob did everything humanly possible. He divided his flocks into groups to minimize losses. He sent expensive gifts to soften Esau's heart. He prayed to God for protection. He devised escape strategies. He did everything except trust. And then, the night before the meeting, something supernatural happened. A man, who was actually the angel of the Lord, a manifestation of God, began to wrestle physically with Jacob. And they wrestled all night. Jacob, with all his strength, his cunning, his manipulative skills that he had used his whole life, wrestled with God. But here's what will shock you. God didn't overcome Jacob by force. The text says that when the angel saw that he could not prevail against him, not because he couldn't, but because Jacob wouldn't let go, he touched Jacob's thigh and dislocated it. In a second, Jacob lost all his strength, all his ability to fight, all his confidence in his own abilities. And it was precisely at that moment, when Jacob could no longer fight, when all he could do was cling on and say, "I will not let you go unless you bless me," that God blessed him and changed his name from Jacob to Siva, to Israel, Prince with God. The devastating revelation God had to break Jacob's strength in order to bless him. Because as long as Jacob trusted in his own cunning, there was no room for divine provision. Why does this happen? Here is the profound spiritual truth. God does not compete with you. He will not fight for the pilot seat in your life. While you are in control, making all the decisions, forcing all the doors, manipulating all the circumstances, God waits, not because He doesn't care, but because He loves you too much to steal from you the lessons you only learn when your strength runs out. Isaiah 30:15 says something revolutionary. For thus says the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and resting you shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Did you read that? Your strength is not in fighting, it's in resting, in stillness, in stopping, but that goes against all our instincts. When we're in crisis, we want to act, to do something, anything, because standing still seems like surrender, it seems like weakness, it seems like irresponsibility. And it is precisely this instinct that keeps us away from the miracle. Part 2. The exact moment to stop. Are you fighting or are you trusting? Here's a question that will reveal where you are spiritually right now. When you think about your problem, that financial situation, that broken relationship, that illness, that closed door, is your first thought, what am I going to do? Or what is God going to do? Be honest, because your answer reveals everything. If you wake up thinking about strategies, calls you need to make, people you need to convince, plans you need to execute, you are fighting. And while you fight, God waits. What happened in the Red Sea, Exodus 14. Israel is trapped, the sea in front, the Egyptian army behind, mountains on either side. There is no humanly possible way out, and the people panic completely. They begin to complain to Moses, "Weren't there enough graves in Egypt for you to bring us here to die in the desert?" They wanted to fight, or flee, or negotiate, to do something. And then Moses says something that is the key to everything. "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will give you. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Exodus 14:13-14. Be quiet. You will be silent. Stop fighting. And what happened when they stopped? The sea parted. An absolute impossibility became reality. But it didn't happen while they were panicking, trying to find human solutions. It happened when they were still and let God act. The 3 signs that you need to stop now. First sign, you're exhausted and nothing is working. You've tried everything, prayed every prayer, fasted every day, applied every strategy, and the situation only gets worse or stagnates. This is God saying, your hands must go out so that mine can come in. Second sign, you've lost your peace. Even praying, even reading the Bible, there's a constant anxiety gnawing at you from within. You can't rest. Your mind is always racing, trying to solve things. This indicates that you have taken on a burden that is not yours, and God is waiting for you to let go. Third sign, you are using questionable methods. You've started lying a little, manipulating situations, forcing doors that are clearly closed, making deals that compromise your integrity. When you reach this point, you've already gone way past the point of stopping. Turn back, let go, before you destroy what God is trying to build, the exact moment. So when exactly is the right time to stop? It's when you recognize that you've reached the limit of your human capabilities. When you honestly look at the situation and admit, I can't do it, I don't know. That terrifying moment of helplessness, that's the most sacred place you can be, because it is there, in that second when you let go, that God finally has room to work. 2 Corinthians 12:9-10. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. For when I am weak, then I am strong. God's power is perfected, reaches its highest level in your weakness, not despite your weakness, but because of your weakness. Part 3. What happens when you stop the story of Peter? Luke 5. Peter was a professional fisherman. He had spent the entire night working, using all his experience, all his technique, all his effort. The result, nothing. 0 fish. Then Jesus, a carpenter who knew nothing about fishing, said, "Cast your nets into deep water." And Peter has a crucial moment. He could have said, "Jesus, with all due respect, I know how to fish. I've been trying all night. It's not going to work." But instead he said something powerful. "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets, based on your word, not on my experience, not on my logic, not on my effort. I will stop trusting in myself and I will trust in you." And what happened? A catch so abundant that the nets began to break, so many fish that they needed to call another boat. A supernatural provision that no human effort could produce. But note, this only happened after Peter admitted that his entire night of effort had yielded nothing, after he stopped trusting himself. What God does when you stop first thing, it reveals things you couldn't see while you were fighting. When you're in fight mode, your focus is completely on your strategies, your plans, your worries. You don't have the mental or spiritual space to hear God's voice. But when you stop, when you quiet down, when you become silent, suddenly you begin to hear directions you hadn't considered, solutions that weren't on your radar, divine connections you were too busy to notice. Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." Knowledge, True understanding, profound revelation comes in stillness, not in struggle. Second thing, he opens doors that no human effort could open. There are doors that can only be opened with a divine key. No matter how much you force, push or manipulate them, these doors will not yield to human effort. But when you stop forcing things and wait on God, he opens what was closed. He makes the impossible happen. He moves people you could never move. He creates opportunities that didn't exist. Third thing, he works while you rest. Here's the miracle. When you stop working in the flesh and begin to rest in faith, God doesn't stop working. He begins. He works behind the scenes. He moves pieces you don't see. He prepares solutions you can't even imagine. But he can't do that while you're messing things up with your desperate attempts to control everything. Do it now. So, here's what you're going to do now. Not tomorrow, not after you try one more thing. Now, you're going to take that situation that's consuming you, the one you've been fighting, forcing, trying to control, and you're going to do something radical. You will completely surrender it into God's hands, not half-heartedly letting go. Not, I'll let go, but I'll keep an eye on things. Letting go for real. Close your eyes right now and declare aloud, God, I can't. I tried and failed. I struggled and grew weary. So now I stop. I let go. I surrender completely into your hands. May your will be done, not mine. And I will rest while you work. And then, and this is crucial, you will refuse to take it back. Every time anxiety comes, every time you want to control it again, you will remember, no, I let go. God is in control. And in the coming days, weeks, you'll start to see things moving in ways you never could have moved before. Doors opening that you never could have opened. Solutions appearing that you never could have created. Because when you stop fighting, God can finally reveal himself, and his revelation is infinitely better than anything you could achieve through your own effort. So stop now and see what God does.